Hi there, welcome to Need the Recipe. Today I will be showing you how to make Romanian Cozonac, and I will be including both the poppy seed and walnut version. So first you're going to sift 8 cups of flour. Next you're going to heat up your milk in a medium saucepan over medium-low heat. You want it warm but not too hot. You're going to get some fresh yeast and put a half a cup of milk and combine until very smooth. If you only have active dry yeast, I also included instructions about conversions in my blog post. I'll link it in the description. Make a well in your flour, add your yeast, and add a tiny bit of milk and cover and set aside. Now you're going to divide your egg whites and your egg yolks. The egg whites will be used for the filling, and the egg yolks are going to be going into the actual bread recipe, into the dough. So just do this, and then make sure you don't get any egg whites into the yolk bowl. Grab 2 packets of vanilla sugar and a pinch of salt and whisk that together in your yolks. Bring the bread dough out, and now your yeast should be fully bloomed. Melt 3½ tablespoons of butter and add 3½ tablespoons of oil to that and set it aside. Add your yolk mixture and sugar to the middle of the well and just start slowly combining, and we're going to add a little bit of milk slowly. We want the sugar to get dissolved, and we want the yeast to start working and the gluten to form. You're going to slowly start adding the flour from around the circle and just make sure everything gets combined. Keep adding milk just a little bit at a time. You're going to keep on doing this until you have no milk remaining, and after the dough starts to form a ball, we're going to add the olive oil and butter mixture. So your dough should look like this. It should still be sticky. But it should start resembling more of a ball shape, and you shouldn't have any streaks of flour remaining, and that's when you know it's time to add the olive oil and butter mixture. Now with this part, you want to be a little more gentle. The way that we combine it is you're going to just slowly pick up one piece and fold it under each other. This is going to create bubbles in your dough, and it's going to make sure that it'll become very soft. So just slowly pull from each side and add the remaining bit of oil until it starts becoming more elastic. And you should hear some bubbles popping, which means that the gas is starting to release from the dough, which is a good sign, which means we can go on to the kneading next. Put about a tablespoon of flour on a surface and put your dough, and now it is time to start kneading. And this is first going to be very gentle. We're just going to fold each corner under each other, and next we're going to start stretching the dough. This is going to just really help that gluten form again, and it's going to make for a very soft and moist crumb later on into the baking process. So I'm just going to keep folding it here, and then now we're going to start to slowly stretch that out. We want to make sure we're being pretty gentle here. The next part of the kneading process is we're just going to start with one part of the dough and roll it under. So just keep grabbing it from a different section each time, and you're just going to roll it back under. And it should start looking like a very smooth ball, and it should still be a tiny bit sticky. But this is the window pane test, and it's supposed to be see-through, and as you can see, it's not, and a hole just became visible. So you don't want any holes when you're doing the window pane test. You want this to be stretchy and elastic. So I kneaded it for a little bit more, and as you can see, it is stretchy, elastic, and see-through. So now we're going to put all the 4 corners back in and roll it into a nice ball and put it aside. It's going to rise for about an hour or until double its size. Next, grab those egg whites and start beating on medium-high speed. You want it to be very fluffy, almost stiff peaks, but before it gets to stiff peaks, we're going to add in the sugar a little bit at a time. I added about 6 tablespoons of sugar to this, but feel free to adjust based on your preferred sweetness. Next, you're going to add some rum extract and some vanilla extract. First, I'm showing you how to make it with the walnut mixture. So if you're doing this with the walnuts, you're going to crush your walnuts up, add them to the egg whites with a little bit of cocoa powder, and mix. The other version is poppy seed. I use this because it's a lot easier, but there are instructions on my blog post on how to make your own. But you're going to mix that to the egg whites if you want to do the poppy seed version, which is my personal favorite. After an hour, check on your dough and it should be double in size and it should feel very soft to the touch. Sprinkle a little bit of flour on your surface and we're going to divide this into 4 portions because this recipe makes 4 loaves. If you wanted to make 3, you can also do 3 and make 3 bigger loaves, but I'd like doing 4 just because I like to have a little bit more. And then from here, you're going to divide each one of those 4 portions into 2. So you should have a total of 8 pieces to make 4 loaves. Use a rolling pin and create a rectangle shape with each ball of dough. You don't want it to be super long or super thick, about a ½ inch thick, but you want it to be long enough that we can braid it into that Cozonac shape. So this is about a good enough size for me. You can use your hands to kind of stretch it out a bit each way to make it a little bit bigger. And then next you're going to add your filling, and make sure not to add too much filling here. As you can see later in the video, some of it starts to seep out. So you want to make sure you don't do too much because it's going to be a mess. Don't be afraid if there's a mess. It's kind of normal for a recipe like this. It's kind of like the same with cinnamon rolls as well. But just make sure you do an even layer of either the poppy seed or the walnut mixture. Next, we're going to roll it up, and we're just going to do this gently, trying not to, make a mess like me. But after you roll it all the way up, you're going to flip it over and pinch those seams. You want it to be pretty tight because we don't want it to bake and then it becomes a big mess and all of the filling gets on the pan instead of inside, because we want to create that beautiful spiral design after baking. So after you've pinched it, you're going to repeat this with that second piece of dough, and then we're going to braid the two to make the classic Cozonac shape. So grab both of your pieces and you're going to connect them at the top and pinch them really hard. You want to make sure they're connected. That is going to be key in keeping the shape together. So take both of those and just really press on it. But again, not too hard because we don't want it to bust. As you can see, mine was not pinched well enough there, so I kind of fixed that. But after you do this, you're just going to braid it as you would braid your hair or, anything, but just braid it into a nice shape like this and pinch that bottom as well, and then tuck in those sides and place it into a greased baking dish. Now I like to whisk an egg and then brush it on top of them before baking. This creates a really glossy finish and it gives it that classic golden brown color. And also I really recommend sprinkling some sugar on the top of it, or poppy seeds if you have. This will just give it a really nice crust. And voila, you're done. Look at that beautiful spiral design and fluffy brioche style bread. I hope you enjoy and be on the lookout for more recipes soon.